My name, for now, is Samuel Blackhorn, but I have carried many names over the centuries. I was born Takoya, a boy of the Cahokia people, in the year 526. By a strange accident, I drank from a hidden spring in the forest, and death never found me again. I have walked this land for 1,500 years, and of all the madness I have seen, nothing compares to the year 1848, when a river in California began to bleed gold. It was January, cold and misty in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. I was working as a carpenter at John Sutter's sawmill, a quiet life, a hidden life. One morning, the mill foreman, James Marshall, came running toward me. His face was pale, his breath ragged. He held a small, glittering stone in his shaking hand. "Blackhorn," he whispered. "What is this?" I took the stone. It was heavy, far too heavy for its size, and gleamed with a deep yellow fire. I knew instantly. I had seen that same fire in the eyes of Spanish conquistadors, in the treasure houses of fallen empires, in the ruins of my own ancestors. Gold. I bit down on it, a habit from olden days, and the metal dented, soft, pure. Marshall's voice trembled. "This is gold, isn't it?" I nodded, and in that nod, I felt the ground begin to shift beneath the entire world. Sutter wanted to keep it secret, but gold has a voice louder than thunder. By March, the whispers reached San Francisco. A shopkeeper named Sam Brannan ran through the dusty streets, holding a bottle of gold dust above his head, screaming, "Gold! Gold on the American River!" Within a week, San Francisco became a ghost town. Blacksmiths dropped their hammers. Bakers abandoned their ovens. Sailors jumped ship, leaving entire fleets floating empty in the bay. I stood on the dock and watched. 100 ships, masts swaying, not a single soul on board, except for one old captain staring at the hills, alone. The madness had begun. I could have stayed hidden. I had seen greed before and wanted no part of it, but something pulled at my immortal heart, a dark curiosity. So I took a new name, Samuel Blackhorn, and I became one of them, a 49er. The year 1849 arrived, and with it came the flood. From every corner of the earth they came. They packed their lives into wagons and rode the Oregon Trail for 6 deadly months. Cholera swept through the camps, and fresh graves lined the path like breadcrumbs. I held a young woman in my arms as she died. She whispered, "Sir, just tell me if the gold mountains are real." I stayed with her all night, a man who cannot die, and I wept. Others sailed 8 months around Cape Horn, braving storms and pirates. Some cut through the jungles of Panama, where yellow fever took its own dreadful toll. Everyone carried the same fever in their eyes, not the sickness of the body, but the sickness of the dream. And then we reached the American River. I will never forget that first sight. The riverbank looked like an anthill made of human bodies. Tents and shacks sprawled across the mud. Men stood waist-deep in icy water, swirling tin pans, their faces taut with desperation. The sound was a constant roar, not of water, but of scraping, digging, shouting, cursing, and sometimes gunshots. I bought a simple tin pan and knelt by the river. I scooped the gravel, swirled it gently, let the water wash away the lighter sand, And then, as the murky water cleared, my heart, this heart that has beaten for 15 centuries, skipped. A dozen tiny flecks of yellow light winked up at me from the dark bottom of the pan. Gold. I held my breath. I knew in that moment why men go mad. It is not the gold itself. It is the whisper that rises from those shining flecks, the whisper that says, maybe your suffering is over. Maybe you are special. Maybe you are saved. In just 1 week, I pulled more than an ounce of gold from that river. One afternoon, I found a nugget the size of a hen's egg. The men around me shouted and cheered. That night, I heard footsteps circling my tent in the dark. Because in the goldfields, there was no law, only hunger. I watched a man shoot his best friend over a handful of dust. I saw a Chinese miner beaten and left to die simply because his eyes were different, his language strange, and his claim was rich. At night, the camp called Deadwood became a carnival of chaos, drunken brawls, card games ending in knives, and the gallows working overtime. And through all this, the true owners of the land, the Maidu and Nisenan people, were driven away at gunpoint. Their villages stood empty. One night, I walked alone to a deserted settlement. I stood in the silence and whispered in the old tongue of my own ancestors, "I carry your pain, brothers. I am not allowed to forget." I looked at the gold I had collected, 40 ounces of metal, shining and cold. What did it mean to an immortal? I cannot starve, I cannot die. What need have I of wealth? Then I saw her, an Irish widow, her husband dead of cholera on the trail, 3 small children clinging to her shawl. Her eyes were hollow, broken. She had nothing but the rags on her back and a desperate courage. That night, I placed my entire pouch of gold outside her tent. I left a small note written on torn paper. "Go back east, buy land, raise your children. A stranger." Before sunrise, I had vanished from the camp. I walked away from the goldfields, but I could not walk away from what the gold was doing to the world. In just 2 years, California's population exploded from a few thousand to over 300,000. San Francisco transformed from a sleepy village into a roaring city of mud, tents, and sudden fortunes. A young German immigrant named Levi Strauss began selling tough canvas trousers to miners. I bought a pair myself. Yes, those very trousers you now call jeans. History unfolds in the strangest of ways. On September 9th, 1850, California became the 31st state of the Union. I stood in Sacramento and heard the cannons roar in celebration. A new star was added to the American flag. But I knew the price. The gold that built this state had also written a tragic chapter of greed, displacement, and blood. Even as crowds cheered, I could still hear the silence of those empty native villages, the echo of shovel on stone, the whisper of forgotten names. A few years later, I visited a place called Bodie. It had been a booming gold town of 10,000 souls. When I arrived, there was only wind, empty buildings, creaking signs, a ghost of a dream. The gold was gone, and so were the people. I sat on a broken porch and wrote in my old diary, 1,500 years I have walked this earth, and I see the same pattern again and again. Greed is a fire that burns brightly and leaves only ash. Today it is gold, tomorrow oil, the next day data. Only the river remains unchanged. I flow with it, forever a witness. My name is Samuel Blackhorn. I have been Tekoya, Juan, Thomas Gray, River Wolf, and many more. I did not find wealth in the goldfields of California. Instead, I found a mirror that showed the best and worst of humanity side by side. And I, the man who cannot die, could only watch, remember, and tell the story. So here I am, telling it to you. The gold is gone now, but the fever still lives somewhere inside every human heart. The question is never whether we will chase a dream. The question is what we will do when we catch it.